Hey friends, Shawntay the Trainologist here with a question for you. Have you ever thought about transitioning from whatever it is that you're doing today to a career in instructional design? If so, keep watching because I'm going to tell you how I made that leap. Back in 2007, I was a classroom teacher until I went through a pretty significant life change, divorce. Up until that point, being a classroom teacher was my very, very favorite job that I had ever had until my salary was all that I had to rely on for my income. It just wasn't enough. Now, I don't know what teachers make today, but I can tell you what I was making back in 2007 just wasn't enough to support my son and I. So I had to make a change. You may be thinking that I could have taken on other roles. Well, I had done that. I was the department head, I was the team chair. So I was getting additional stipends, but it just wasn't enough to pay for all of my bills. So I had to come up with something else. So one day I was browsing through some different job boards and I came across an opening at a nearby university for a training specialist position. And as I was reading through the job posting, I thought, I can do that. Or, hey, that's very similar to what I'm doing now. I can do that. I really think I can do this job. So I decided to go for it. Now, before I go any further, you may be thinking, yeah, teaching instructional design, there's a lot of overlap there. And you would be right. There is a lot of overlap, but there is a lot of overlap for many positions into instructional design. It just is a little bit easier to see the connection between teacher and instructional designer. Now, as a former training department lead, I can tell you that most of the people that I had on my team over the years were instructional designers, training specialists, and e-learning developers that didn't have a formal background or education in any of those areas. They came to me from other departments. So you can transition from whatever it is you're doing now into instructional design. So let me tell you about the 3 steps that I took to make that transition. So, step one, I went through the job posting with a fine tooth comb. I read through every single bullet point that was listed on that sheet. And I looked for areas where I thought my skills applied. Step two, I took the skills that I had and I reframed them. And what I mean by that is that I looked at it through the lens of what would this training specialist do? How would this training specialist use this skill that I have? And that's what I mean by reframing. For example, teaching students could be reframed as facilitating learning or facilitating lessons or training sessions. So those are ways that I could reframe my teaching skills into something relevant to that new position. So that was step two. Step one was to go through the job posting and look at every single detail and think about how my skills crossed over. Step two was to take my existing skills and reframe them so that they suited that position. Step three was to now write my resume with these reframed skills using exact pieces of the language from the job posting so that the person reviewing my resume would think, wow, Shawntay really has a lot of the skills that we need. We need to talk to her. So those were the 3 steps that I went through to get my resume noticed. Now, this is a really simplistic view of the 3 steps that I went through, but the good news is that I have a free downloadable ebook that you can read through that really dives into the details of each of these steps. Just visit instructionaldesigncompany.com and you will find it there. Anyway, my resume got me noticed. Yay! I was so excited whenever they called me for an interview. In one of the interviews that I went through, I had to demonstrate my ability to create an engaging lesson and to facilitate that lesson. And it just happened to be October. So I thought it would be fun to do something related to Halloween because that is the big holiday for the month. So I brainstormed all kinds of ideas. And one day I was in a store and I saw a craft magazine and I picked it up and I found this cute, cute little card in it. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I am going to create a lesson on how to make Halloween cards and walk through this process with my interviewers. Prior to that day, I organized these little kits for each person that was going to be in the interview, and I think there were 3. So I had 3 little kits. I had 1 extra in case somebody unexpected showed up to the interview, and I had a kit for myself. So I walked them through step by step how to create this cute little card. Now remember, this was back in 2007, but isn't it adorable? This little card and the work I did to reframe and tailor my resume are what got me the job and were the catalysts to my career in instructional design that I have today. All that to say, with a little repositioning and work on your resume, you can make the crossover into instructional design. For more information on how to do this, download my free ebook. All right, until next time, see you later.